Mr. Odo, thank you so much for joining us at this short interview by AsiaBizToday Singapore. Tell us about your overall view of the BoDW 2017.
When I arrived here, I didn't have a real expectation. I was curious and ready to see, and I found a fantastic organization. I really didn't expect an organization like this. So it has been overall a super experience, really cool. I met a lot of interesting people, really inspirational speeches and beautiful exhibitions, and took a tour in the city. So it's really fun. It's really, I think, it's a really super shift for this area of the world, having such a design week that is spreading somehow the verbal design.
So could you tell us about your journey in industrial design as such? How did this all happen?
It's crazy because I started studying engineering because I didn't know what design was, and discovered the systems of design by chance because a friend of mine went to Milan to have a course at in an university, and he found out that there was a university in which there were students making things like I always did. So he taught to me. He called me, say, "Yeah, there's your university. You should switch from engineering to industrial design." And he sent me some information and some leaflets about this university. And in 3 months, I changed my life. I started again when I was 25 studying, and that's why I usually say that design somehow saved my life, because otherwise maybe now would be I don't know, really sad engineer instead of an happy designer. It's strange because after studying in design, my mind changed again. So maybe I will if I will start again, either a sculpture, or so leaving back all the compromises with the world of industry and marketing, and going to a more pure approach to the shapes of things, or so shapes that just give a meaning and not without a real function. Talking about function is always complicated because otherwise art has no function, but it's not real. Art has got a function, but that kind of function, let's say. Otherwise, maybe an anthropologist.
Wow.
Because it's studying, anthropology is what fascinates me more. I read a lot about that, but as studying, maybe I'll move to France and study anthropologist.
Okay. And, what is the prime focus when it comes to industrial design?
First of all, the scale is really different, but this is a really simple answer. I think that the industrial design is a bit different because it's a bit more humble. Usually people that are using architecture don't choose them. They just live in them, work in them, but they didn't have the real choice to choose. Otherwise, I think design and industrial design create products that usually, most of the time, people are choosing, buying, and putting in their houses or putting in their lives. So this makes, to me, the work of designers a bit more humble, a bit more, let's say, must be more get close to people in a different way, in a more subtle way. So that's why I think maybe designers have a different approach. So sometimes it's like if an architect puts his solution to a big problem in the city, like saying this is my idea and that's it. Usually people that are deciding to make a building, for example, is few. It's like, I don't know, maximum 10% decide what is the building going to be, but the persons that are going to see it and use it can be I don't know, thousands. So Otherwise, in the design field, is more the person that are deciding the object usually are less than the one that are using it, or is comparable.
Okay.
So if you don't think about, I don't know, trains, that is a bit different, but or I don't know, planes, but the rest of the objects is really interesting. This idea that is comparable, the number of person that are creating the object to the person that are going to use it. So it's kind of fun. The seats of the metro lines here, the metro trains.
Okay.
They are in stainless steel and molded. We say cold molded, right. So without heating the metal part, and they are really clean, really delicate, and I found them really cool. It will remain in my mind.
Okay. Any one project that you worked on and it's really close to your heart?
I think there is one, but it's kind of really delicate object that is always difficult to explain. That is my favorite, but I think the second one that is more easy to explain is this wooden chair that made me somehow win a lot of prizes and changed a bit my life. Because the way I made this object is really close to what I was saying before, this sculpting approach. So when I made this chair, I've been in this company, and we created a sort of starting chair that was having bigger legs, bigger than the way I expected. So I brought back this kind of Flintstones chair, and I started to sculpt the legs, sculpt the shape inside this bigger chair. So it got smaller and delicate, and I sculpted it. So when I climbed from the workshop in my studio that is downstairs to upstairs where my assistants are, they looked at it and said, wow. So I said, okay, maybe I did something good. And I started to understand that this was a bit more outstanding of what I thought.
Okay.
So I started several new projects, but I don't like to talk about them because we in Italy always think about the bad luck, and so talking about that until they are not done is something I don't like. But what I expect from the future is to, designers are always thinking about the what they are going to do. It's like living in a future that you still can really manage, but you try to understand how it could be. So the bigger project is your life, is your working life, let's say. So my goal right now is trying to make less, make it better, and try to move a bit these things to what I really like. That is pushing on the boundary that there's the boundary between what is existing and what is not existing. That means somehow pushing to the future. So I'm a bit afraid because I see several young designers that are working on shapes that are coming from the past, like reworking the past. And I think that this is could be an approach, but what I expect from young designers is to push, to be subversive, to try to lead to a future that is non-expectable, not something easy to imagine, and not to be polite. So young generation should be not polite, should be not in the square, but go out of the frame and trying to be difficult to understand, trying to be out of every scheme. So that's what I would like to do also if I'm getting old. But I tend to think like that. I want to be in the dark side of the force.
All right. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best and look forward to staying connected.
Thank you very much. Thank you.